see how best we will strengthen our body, our institution, to support our government. This is a coalition government, and the coalition is the advisory body, politically, economic, and policy that would help or support the system of governance, so that the agenda we had before as an agenda, as a coalition, will continue. But fundamentally, the main purpose is to, we've already spoken, discussed. For the past 2 years, we've been interacting with all stakeholders, many Gambians here and abroad. And we've been also listening very carefully about how people are feeling in terms of how government is going, how the system is going, and where they want our country to go. Because the change was everybody's responsibility. And many stood for the change. And we stood up not only to change the system, but also to look at the processes. Not only regime change, but also to look at how to change the system of governance so that we continue to build our foundation, the foundation of democracy, respect for the rule of law, human rights, gender equality, the environment, and you name it. So we have realized that the agenda, which is for government, is National Development Plan, but the agenda was adopted by Coalition 2016. And of course, it comprises the reform, constitutional reform, economic reform, truth and reconciliation, land commission, and also other areas, judiciary reform. Because we inherited 22 years of poor governance, bad governance, a broken economy. When I was in government, we inherited just 1 month income cover, but eventually we had to run. And also the country was not that stable at different levels. We had to help and stabilize not only the economy, but also to stabilize society, to bring people together for us to have national cohesion. Now, the reform agenda that was adopted by the coalition, which has the legitimacy to ensure that the reform agenda is completed successfully so that we can have a level playing field, is yet to be completed. So we have discussed it extensively with our flag bearer, and on the basis of the incompletion of the reform agenda, we have decided as a coalition to extend his social legitimacy from 3 years to 5 years. So that's why I say today is historic. This is something that the whole world should hear. He did not ask for it. And we are standing for the country. We continue to stand for the country. We continue to champion the cause of the country. Hence, as a body, we thought it's prudent that we should come, because now it's democracy. In the past 22 years, he can just say whether, well, I'm constitutionally elected and there's nothing nobody can do. But he has shown interest, respect, and recognition, and the love of the coalition, and acknowledge the contributions that the coalition did to the extent that he has listened to us. So the change, the extension of his mandate is coming from the coalition. The social mandate, the legitimacy is coming from the coalition. He has the legal backing. He also has the social legitimacy. Now, it's important to clarify. People are saying, oh, the memorandum of understanding is not signed. A memorandum of understanding cannot bring a head of state to be a head of state. It was an agreement and a manifesto that for many months, we sat, we thought about it, and we articulated it. It was unanimously approved, and those are the documents that we took to the IEC for them to recognize our flag bearer as a presidential candidate. So the agreement is what we are now legally going to amend in line with the decision we have taken today. The memorandum of understanding is important, but the fundamentals are the agreement which was signed by all parties. And the agreement with the manifesto is the reform agenda. So if the reform agenda is incomplete, and considering what we found in government, we did not find money in the treasury. The economy was bankrupt. In the initial 1.5 years, we had to run and look for money. Now, all the reforms that are going on are not supported by government in terms of money. The human capital is there, but it is the international community, the security reform, for instance, it's the international community that is funding it. We cannot leave that halfway and say, oh yes, we have to have elections, we have to find another president. We don't, it is not rational, it is not logical. That's why we thought today we will come. It has taken us so many years, 2 years I would say, talking, agreeing to disagree. Of course, we are taking into consideration the views and opinions of the Gambians, because the coalition is just a body, but Gambia is beyond just a coalition. So we have heard the voices of every people. What I would like to call on Gambians today is that we have agreed with our flag bearer, who is now the excellency of this country, that we have a program. A body is supposed to have a program that would direct its affairs. One, we are going to establish a secretariat. We have to have a point of reference because this is historic. Two, we are going to have a national dialogue where everybody, interfaith, Christians, Muslim, everybody in the Gambia, young people, we recognize the importance of young people. Our nation is a young population. So all the young people, there have been an emergence of groups, associations, pro-Gambia, many, many others. So we want everybody, I'm calling on everybody, to come on board and support the coalition government to continue to complete, implement the agenda, the reform agenda, so that at the end of the day, come 2021, we would have said, this is what we are asked to do. We tasked ourselves to do it. We took the responsibility of telling the nation that this is what we are going to do, and we have done it. So I want everybody to come and support the process, the reform process. It is the reform process that we are supporting. Security sector reform, you cannot leave halfway. We know the type of security we inherited. Economic reforms, now we are going. If you look at the ports today, you have a lot of steamliners waiting to dock, which shows that there is business. You go, the tourism sector is moving. The agricultural sector and other sectors are also moving. And we have been very open with our flag bearer. We have discussed with him what works, what hasn't worked, and how we feel it should work in an inclusive manner within the framework of the Gambia that we have we chose 2016. He has agreed with us. He is very happy to see us, and he has renewed his commitment to the coalition, and we shall be continuing to work very closely with him so that we will implement our reform agenda. So one point of clarification for the social media. We have not decided to extend His Excellency's mandate because he asked for it. We are not extending it because the coalition so feels it. We are extending it from the point of principle that we had made commitments and obligations, campaign, that this is what we are going to deliver to the Gambian people. And we feel that those processes, particularly the electoral reform and the constitutional reform, without constitutional reform, we are going to uphold the 1997 constitution, which was made by one person. Without electoral reform, there is no transparency, there is no level playing field. You know, without the Truth and Reconciliation, look at what is coming out, the revelations in the Truth and Reconciliations. These are things that we need to look at. Let's forget about ourselves and look at Gambia. How can we move Gambia in a more stable, peaceful and harmonized country so that everybody is together, everybody listens, everybody supports. And we also have decided as a coalition that we will have a system of communication. Our communication has been weak simply because we don't have expertise among ourselves to have a professional communication strategy, but we have hired a consultant. And the other issue is that most of us are busy. It's difficult to really focus on that. But now we have a consultant who is going to develop a good strategic communication so that people will know what is happening in the coalition, the work that we are doing, the support we are giving to our government, and the support that we need also for the rest of Gambians to give us. We are not forgetting the diaspora. Everybody contributed. The change was brought by a majority of people. And the change is something that we need to cherish. We want to be, I am calling on Gambians, particularly young people, we are building a foundation for the young people. Once you have democracy, you have rule of law, you have respect for human rights, that's transparency and accountability. At the end of the day, when you leave, you have left a level playing field for other people to take over. So I thank everybody. I thank the Gambian population in the diaspora, the media. I want to talk to the media, and particularly social media. Let us try to see how we contribute to rebuilding our country, not how to break our country. Building it means educating the masses, telling them what works, what doesn't work. If you realize something doesn't, no system is perfect. If you realize something is not working, write professionally, it's a transparent government. Write to anybody, Office of the President, Secretary General, write to everybody, express your ideas and give concrete recommendations that can contribute towards the movement of Gambia to a better nation. So we are banking on the media fraternity to help us carry our message, the positive message, in the interest of the Gambia and not in the interest of anybody, because Gambia is bigger than all of us. I thank you so much for the role that you have played, the media, social media, diaspora people everywhere, what they have played during the transition, not the transition, during the change process. I want them to continue that way. Of course, we cannot say that everybody is going to be the same, is going to think the same. If we think the same, then there is no democracy. You must have divergent views, but we must create space and understand that peaceful coexistence means giving your view, me giving my view, and you giving your view. And those views be sieved, and then the best of it we take for our country. So thank you so much.